Joining me now here on Extra Innings, host of the Beatles Marathon coming up this Thursday, part of our 2023 Summer Marathon series from 7 a.m. to 1 a.m. I actually helped him out in 2021 with the Beatles Marathon. This is the 42nd.
Right, and helping me out this year is going to be Agora Beach. So we're going to be doing the marathon together, myself and Agora Beach, here at WBWC. The, I think, 42nd annual Beatles Marathon. The first Beatles Marathon, Summer Marathon, was on in 1981.
1981, so that is a long run here on 88.3 FM. The Sting. John Basalla joining me now. His debut on Extra Innings. Of course, you also hear him on Sunday night at the Oldies. That starts at 6 o'clock every Sunday.
Actually, Golden Age of Rock and Roll.
Oh, Golden Age of Rock and Roll, excuse me. Tom does Sunday night at the Oldies. Part of your triple threat of Oldies alternative here on The Sting. John, how are you today?
I am doing fine, and we're going to move on to something that Todd Richards, on his Running Late program, spoke to a member of a band called the Hooters, a big band of the 1980s, had some hits. And the big news from the Running Late program, hosted by Todd Richards, is the fact that the Hooters are back in action. They're on tour, and apparently they'll be coming to our area in the near future. So I thought, well, we should play a Hooters Beatle cover if we have one, and I do. The Hooters put out a single called Johnny B, and on the B side, recorded live on October 20th, 1985 at the Tower Theater of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, is the Hooters version of the Beatles hit Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds.
Right here on Extra Innings. That was Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. I believe it was a 1981 release.
1985, recorded live on October 20th, 1985 at the Tower Theater, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And it's on the B-side of the Hooters single Johnny B, produced by Rick Chertoff. And the Hooters, as I mentioned before, were on Todd Richards' Running Late program, which is on the air Saturday nights, Sunday mornings from 1 to 3 a.m. with a rebroadcast Sunday afternoons from 1 until 3 p.m. And he interviewed a very good interview with the Hooters, who are back in action. It'll be good to hear if they put out some more new recorded music.
Absolutely, and Todd Richards hosting Running Late, another great program here on The Sting from 1 to 3 on Saturday and 1 to 3 in the afternoon on Sunday for Rerunning Late. Yes, John Basalla joining me now. Agora Beach is going to be hosting this marathon with you on Thursday. And it's the 42nd?
She's going to be doing a few hours. Anyway, I think it's the 42nd. We've been here since 1981 with the Summer Marathon, so you can figure it out yourself. But 1981. And Russ Lindway and Jan Price were the students who were hosting the marathon for the first couple of years. I took it over in 1984 when graduation time came for the aforementioned.
So John Basalla continuing that legacy as it has been here on The Sting for 40-plus years now as we look at really the Beatles' career legacy of all four members. I mean, all four inducted into the Hall of Fame as a member of the Beatles and as a solo artist, all four of them, John, George, Ringo, and Paul. Right. You can't argue the history that this group has.
I don't think they should leave out Pete Best. And the reason I say that is because Pete Best was kind to us. Pete Best did an interview with us when Matt Slice was hosting the marathons with me. Got an interview with Pete Best. He also recorded a legal ID for us to use on the Beatles Marathon. So, I never ignore Pete Best on the Beatles Marathon. We'll never do it because he was good to us.
Absolutely, Pete Best being one of the first members of the Beatles as well. So I want to hear a little bit about what's coming up on the Beatles Marathon this Thursday.
What's coming up? Well, Beatles music for one thing, but then beyond that, we're going to be giving away copies of Julian Lennon's most recent CD called Jude, and we will be playing selections from it throughout the show. Same with Ringo Starr's EP3. We'll be giving that away as well. We got a good number of each one to give away, and so you'll have many chances to win on the Beatles Marathon. Another thing that we're going to be doing is, once again, we have to mention his name, Todd Richards. We have to thank Todd Richards as he was able to get things together so we can play an interview with Julian Lennon, as Julian Lennon was an ambassador for College Radio Day back in, I think, last October. Well, anyway, he was the ambassador for it, and there was an interview produced with him along with some music, and we're going to be featuring that interview in the 11 a.m. hour. Another thing that we're going to do on the Beatles Marathon, and I have yet to pull this all together, but we're gonna feature the Lennon family, because we have Julian Lennon to play with this new CD. We're going to feature the entire Lennon family. I think it'll take a big half hour, because we're going to feature songs recorded by Freddie Lennon. That's John Lennon's father put out a record. That's another one of my super rarities that cost me a lot. Freddie, John Lennon's father, Freddie. Then we're going to hear from John Lennon himself, of course. Then we're going to hear from John Lennon's first wife, Cynthia Lennon, who back in the late 90s recorded a couple of songs for a CD single. Then, of course, we're going to hear from John and Cynthia's son, Julian Lennon. Then we're going to hear from Sean Lennon, Sean Ono Lennon, who was the son from John's marriage to Yoko Ono. And yeah, I'll probably have to be fair and find a good Yoko piece to play, one associated with John maybe. I'll figure that all out, because it is the Beatles Marathon, not the John Lennon Marathon. But I'm thinking that's one of the things we'll be doing probably in the evening on the Beatles Marathon, all day Thursday, August 3rd, beginning at 7 a.m., hosted by myself and Agora Beach.
Make sure to check it out. And one more question. Any giveaways that we're going to be having
Yeah, I
this
just
upcoming
mentioned.
week? Oh, yeah, that's right.
Right, the Julian Lennon CD and Ringo Starr's CD, the two most recent CD by both of those fine artists.
Make sure to check out the Beatles Marathon this upcoming Thursday. John, I really like to thank you coming on Extra Innings tonight.
Thank you letting me on.
Thank you, John. Of course, you heard him on Sunday Night, the Oldies with Tom earlier. They were playing all Beatles covers, and on Golden Age of Rock and Roll as well. So, John, thank you so much for joining Extra Innings to complete the trifecta of your triple threat of Oldies alternative here on The Sting. We actually have a song from Paul coming up next. Paul McCartney with My Love, his 1973 hit. And then we're going to move a little bit beyond the Beatles, and we'll save that for Thursday coming up here on The Sting. Here's My Love from Paul McCartney right here on 88.3 FM. It's Extra Innings with Andrew Hody.